Welcome to M&A Unpacked, the weekly show where we bring on experts in MSP M&A, case studies from those who have gone through or are going through the process, and top M&A and business minds to help you get deals done faster and maximize the value of your MSP, whether you're buying, selling, or just trying to improve your business. And today, this is a first for the show. We have a returning guest, our first returning guest, Adam Eiseman, who is strategic advisor to network coverage. And he is coming on today to talk about going MME, mid-market enterprise. Adam, welcome to the show.
Mike, it's nice to be on again.
You get like the Saturday Night Live thing where you get a jacket if you come 5 times. So
I'm looking forward to it. Do I get to
5
design
times.
the jacket, and who's going to show up to give it to me?
Awesome. So thanks for coming back on. You were recently at a Connect Local. I know you were a speaker there, and I'm gonna see if we can maybe get you to come on and do a webinar with us to the audience, because I heard it was amazing content. So I think you got the pressure's on for you to come back and do a third. Well, it'll be a 2 and plus a webinar. So
maybe the webinar counts as a couple, so I'll get closer to that 5.
There you go. So today, as we're talking MME, before we dive into this, I wanted you to first define MME for people who may not know what it is.
Yeah, so there's a lot of terms in this industry, whether it's even MSP, SMB, they mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. I was once on a Cisco advisory board, and I remembered that for them, SMB went up to about 15, or S went up to about 1,500 employees. And for us, for most MSPs, we really service the 50 and below. That's the historical. I think there's something like 144,000 MSPs out there, might be more at this point. And the majority of them really are that sub 100 and even that sub 50. So for us, the S part of the SMB market, and the MME being mid-market enterprise, is really that M and above, is that sub 50. In some companies, maybe 100 and below. I think true mid-market for us, and the way I'll talk about it, and I think most people in our industry think about it, is 1,000 maybe to about 1,500, 2,000 employees. You could say that a 50-person company growing with complex needs goes into that. So industry plays in a little bit too. The other way of looking at it is whether or not they have internal IT staff. Typically, S companies do not, or if they do, it's somebody part-time. Mid-market companies and enterprise markets companies can really have between 1 and 40 internal IT staff at the larger sizes, especially if they have complex needs. So you're looking at a whole different relationship with the client, because in a lot of cases, you're partnering with and working with internal IT.
Interesting. So why did you decide to go and target MME? What was the decision?
Sure. So Lloyd Group, which was a company that we founded and sold to Network Coverage back last December, was founded in 1995, and we became an MSP in 2002. And we traditionally focused, like I said, like most, on that S section of the business. And we had about $13-14 million in revenue. And I know, because I've spoken to a lot of peer group members and a lot of other MSPs about this. Once we hit that size, it became challenging to continue to grow for a couple of reasons. One, it becomes difficult to scale adding $3,000 to $5,000 clients. And $3,000 to $5,000 a month clients are actually considered, most MSPs we look at now, and because I'm involved with network coverage on the M&A side, I get to look at a lot of MSPs. A lot of them really have sub $1,000 a month clients. But in that $3,000 to $5,000, which is where we were targeting and adding, you add a $3,000 a month client, you do a really wonderful job with them. You support them, you're there for all of their needs. They grow. They're the type of client you want, because they grow. And in our business, in the MSP business, the way you grow is if your clients grow. If they grow and they don't attrit, because every user, every device they add, every additional service they take on, which I'll talk about later, grows your revenue. And it's a lot easier to grow that revenue than it is to go out and find a new logo or a new client. They grow from $3,000 to $15,000 a month. They've done a great job. You've done a great job. Here's the challenge. They hit $15,000 a month. They're now growing to 20, 25. You do not, most MSPs do not have the ability to really provide a great solution for a company of that size or a company that's growing at that pace. As what was a larger MSP when we were Lloyd Group, and even now, we've had many companies come to us and say, we've outgrown our MSP. We had companies outgrowing us. And if you're adding $3,000 to $5,000 a month clients, then you have to add 5 or 6, really 6, given attrition and given the lack of the challenges in onboarding, 6 clients to replace that one client that you've done a great job with. So number one, we found that we were kind of running in quicksand. We were moving forward, but we were moving forward a lot slower than we wanted to. And the only path we saw out, the 2 paths we saw out of that, one was growing a very large sales force that brought in a lot of clients. The challenge with that is when you're doing that, you're often selling on price as opposed to value. And you churn a lot of clients. You bring on a lot, you churn, you're not necessarily as particular. So that was one decision and one choice we could have made, and we decided not to go that way. And the other was to move up market and bring on larger clients. So for the ability to be able to continue to grow and be able to not only, it was a double win, not only bring on larger clients, but then say to our $15,000 a month client, hey, we can take you to 25, we can take you to 30, we can take you to 50. We're the company that's there for you. And not only that, but to be there and be the answer to all those clients of other MSPs that were hitting that stage was a huge win. Second, in the 3,000 to 5,000 and even below, there just aren't a lot of companies starting up these days. It's not like you had during the .com, you go through waves. But in most cases, since there's so many MSPs now, what we found is we were just trading pieces of the pie. We weren't getting new startups. If they were new startups, they were generally too small for us. We'd have to get them, we'd have to take them from another MSP. And while that happens, it's not a real recipe to grow your business. Whereas the mid-market, the addressable market there, the companies with 100 to 1,500 employees, we were only competing against internal IT. And we had a story against internal IT, especially with changes to security needs, compliance needs, COVID bringing about remote workforces. We were much better at supporting remote workforces than internal IT was, where they're used to being able to walk up and solve a problem. We were seeing a huge opportunity, a huge white space, a huge blue ocean, as we refer to it, in that mid-market. The majority of MSPs weren't capable of supporting them. And the majority of the companies that were focused on enterprise, whether it's Accenture, IBM Global Services, et cetera, they weren't capable of going down. They can't look at a company, they'll fail. I remember the first time we competed against IBM Global Services for a 600-person company, and we trounced them. But it was just amazing that we were competing. We should have won it. They shouldn't have won it. It was too small. They would have done a really poor job. We did a great job with it. The other piece is that many SMBs don't grow, meaning small, medium-sized businesses. They get to 15, 20 people, 30 people, and they stay there. They become a lifestyle business. There's hundreds of thousands of them out there. And as I mentioned earlier, the secret to growth as an MSP is to have clients that are growing. Because clients that are growing, not only do they add licenses, but they consume more solutions. And to grow as an MSP, you need clients that are growing, clients that are consuming more solutions, and you need client retention. And the fact is, the more solutions a client consumes from you, the stickier they are and the less likely they are to leave over any one particular incident. And actually, the better the overall margin, because you can be more competitive. Harvard Business School did a study on this, and they found that the minimum number, once you hit 3 or more solutions, the client increases dramatically in stickiness. So there's a huge set of winning there. And the last thing is for us, other than a piece of data, which I'll share, the last piece for us was that to retain really great talent, we needed to continue to challenge them. And when you're just, when you're servicing the SMB, they trust you with everything, um, everything you say, right? You walk in, you're the expert. And really smart, really talented people don't want to rinse and repeat everything and phone it in every day. They want to continue to grow, to learn new things, and to be challenged. And to really offer our team the opportunity for growth and to constantly do really new, challenging things, we needed to move into a market where they were going to be challenged. So those are the reasons we picked the mid-market. The last piece I'll say is that data that we got from Kaseya and other people, but a lot of this data came from Kaseya, was that they were seeing a shift in licensing from mid-market clients to their MSP clients, and that they were predicting that there was going to be a growing need for MSPs in that mid-market. And there just aren't a lot out there. So data showed it, we felt it, and we saw it as a business need.
Very interesting. And what did you, so targeting, selling, let's talk about that, because I would imagine that's a lot different now than your typical Main Street businesses. So you must have had a different approach, or maybe not. So can you talk about how did you target prospects and how did you sell to them?
Yeah, so the move to mid-market it's not easy, right? And that's a good thing. It's like, when we moved to MSP back in 2002, it wasn't easy. At the time, there weren't a lot of tools out there. People didn't know how to sell it. People didn't know how to service it. None of the companies you talked to wanted it. Customers wanted you to build them T&M, right? It was hard to do that. We like to do hard things and get there first. Because if it's really hard, you're not going to have a ton of competitors chasing after you for a period of time. And it gives you a really big space to be great at it and build a business before the rest of the world catches up. So it wasn't easy. So, first, what we had to do was really go out and hire people that understood that market. We tried and failed many times in the mid-market without doing that. What we ended up doing was going out to clients and or former clients and talent out there that we knew were culturally aligned with what it was, who we are, but that came from that. So that when they're selling or talking to somebody in the mid-market, the internal IT person there doesn't see it as a threat. They see it as a peer who's there to help them and understands their need. If we come in as a traditional MSP without those people, most MSPs sell all you can eat, right? It's I'm taking over the entire IT. It's all we know. It's all we need. It's a very different language. I will say those people are really hard to hire. They're even harder to retain because most people that tend to go internal like to be able to work on and control one environment and one thing at a time. What makes MSP talent extremely unique is they're able to keep multiple plates in the air at any given time and thrive on it and do an excellent job with that. And they don't necessarily need to have that control. So finding people that were willing to do that, and we shot for about a 50% hit ratio on that. And I think we hit slightly above that, probably around 60, 70%. But I'd say early on, we were maybe at like 30 or even in that. It was really hard to find that talent. But bringing that talent in ahead of time and making that investment was crucial. Second is we picked and got really narrow with a vertical and a solution, because when you're in that space, you want to be able to make sure that you understand the business, you understand the software, and you can demonstrate expertise in that area. So we looked at the talent that we hired, where they come from, and we looked at where we had referenceable and what we could talk to, and we focused on those verticals. Next is what we did was we looked for companies in those verticals that were PE backed, if possible. We had some that were public, but PE backed was the absolute best. And PE backed was best for a couple reasons. The pluses are they'll grow. If they're PE backed and you take them on to 250 people, there'll be 1,000 people within a few years. You don't need to go out and sell new logos in the mid-market, which takes a long time, because they're doing it for you. They're acquiring companies. Help them to acquire those companies, help them to do the diligence, help them to do this, right? So naturally, instead of having to sell 4 250 person companies, you've only sold one. Your role then is to do a really great job, and the other 3 will come, they'll come to you. Second, if you do a great job, the PE firms, and you're cost effective, the PE firms will look to refer you to their other portfolio companies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
People leave those companies. People also leave PE firms. They go to others. They bring you with them. When they sell, which they will, because the one negative, if you've got a 4 to 6 year lifespan, depending where you come in on that, if you're doing a great job and the new company is, you've got in a position, you've got a good chance to win that new business as well. And if you don't, that's okay too, because you've still built the relationship with the PE firm. A lot of people will leave, and those people will take you with them. Public companies also work extremely well. You know, we have one started out at 5 people. They're at 1,000 people. They're global now. They went through PE and then they went public. And once again, having that public companies are often growth focused, and we really want growth focused clients. We have a big practice, and we're known for this in the family office space. Family office spaces are great. They pay a high per user. They're generally relatively low maintenance, and they always pay their bills. You know, they're billionaire families. The challenge with this is they don't grow. They're 15 to 20 employees, maybe 30 employees, but it's very rare that a family office goes from 10 people to 30 people. They paid our bills, but they weren't what we were looking for. You need these companies to grow. The other thing is you want to be able to tell a growth story when you're selling. You want to be able to show that not only are you growing, which is one of the reasons we went and sold to network coverage and went with PE. We want to be able to say, look, we're growing as well and have that capability. But the other piece of it is to be able to show and demonstrate through case studies how you grew other companies and have them give testimonials to that. Last piece I would say is when you're selling, it is extremely important that you be using tools and solutions from recognizable vendors. One of the reasons that our relationship with Kaseya has been so important, because you're dealing with internal IT people that don't just trust or accept your white labeled product. They want to know what the tools underneath are. And in many cases, they will be accessing using those tools as well. So it's important that you have a tool set that is recognizable and not just some random name that may work great, but is going to make somebody at an internal that's a decision maker at that client very uncomfortable.
Interesting stuff. What about the processes and results? What were the processes that you brought to this and the results like?
We needed to develop all new processes, whether from a sales standpoint or not, and it was a lot of trial and error. Sales cycles are a lot longer. Onboarding is a lot more complex. The way you win these clients, sometimes you go with high value. Majority of the mid-market clients that we won came through a security need. And the fact that we had developed a strong security practice helped us win those. The other way is they can come in through low value needs. A great way to get in a client is, not that data is low value, but selling backup is not necessarily, it's a product and solution that you're selling. It's not necessarily consulting services, et cetera, but getting in with those and doing a really good job and then expanding it. So it's the ability to really expand those relationships once you're in, because in all likelihood, you're not going to start out with the entire relationship. You need to get a foothold, land it, and expand it. And it's about having relationships at all levels of the organization, because people leave and there's politics in those organizations. It's not like your typical small business. So the process is around how you build relationships, and how you build trust, and where you give value, are extremely important. We needed to develop and create a dedicated onboarding team. We needed to develop dashboards and access for the IT users, the IT staff at those clients. But I'll say that the results were incredible. They were dramatic growth and dramatic opportunity, and really happy team members, because they're working on interesting things and they're getting to work on the newest things, and they're working with people that that challenge them. Now, one of the challenges, which you haven't asked yet, is people that aren't looking for that. The people in your organization that are looking for the status quo, like to walk into a client and be not questioned and just accept it, and they're not going to last. So, but we had significant growth. I mean, we went from 13 million to 20 million in 2 years. Our overall EBITDA increased dramatically. I mean, dramatically. Gross margin, level of the team, our internal NPS scores from our employees went up from in the 40s to in the 80s. I mean, it was dramatic. Now, I will say that to do that, we needed to be willing to fire large clients that were not a fit, where we'd made a mistake in bringing them on and were hurting our business. And we needed, and from that, learn what made a great client. And we needed to be able to realize that we were going to fail at some of these, or not be our best, but it was all a process of getting better. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that's really great stuff. I want to, you kind of went into this here, but let's talk about, I'm sure there must have been a lot of challenges and lessons learned, like immediately I'm thinking, okay, you need a whole new process here. And I think an MSP who is at a level where they're wondering how this is done, they're probably thinking, well, when am I ready for this? And where do I start? And I think you probably know the answers to these from having gone through that process. Maybe you had some stops and starts in the beginning, or no, but nothing's ever perfect.
Yeah, and that's a great question. I think you need to be at a point where you have an independent, sophisticated leadership team that they're bought in, right? Because you need people that can you need people that are dedicated just to making sure that your security posture and are focused on your infrastructure alone, because you will get audited. You will get challenged. They're going to want to know, how are you, right? We go in and we talk to our clients about cybersecurity. They're going to what is every process you have. We needed to start investing in becoming SOC 2 compliant. We needed to invest in a lot of different areas and train our people on those areas. So you need people, you need to be at the size where you have people that are dedicated to just focusing on your internal organization and making it as strong as can be. Most MSPs are not at that point or willing to do that. You need to be at a point from a financial standpoint that you can go out and hire people that it may take you 2 years to receive a return on, because you need to get those people that understand the mid-market and can talk to it and sell to it in ahead of time. And you need to be able to go out and have some success stories and clients of yours that have grown, or work that you've done, more expertise from the people so that you can create those case studies. And then you need to be able to willing to invest the time and have the discipline to pick a particular area, a narrow area, a vertical, a geography, and go out and really focus on winning that. Size of MSP, so I think when we started this process, we were around 50 something to 60 people. We got up to 82 during the process and then shrunk back down, because we didn't need 82 people. We needed more than the 50 some, but we had to bring people on ahead of time to be able to build this business and grow this business. And we knew that people were going to leave because it wasn't going to be the right fit for them. And we also needed to be good to those people and to help them to move on successfully, because we have a brand, and that's who and what we are. So you need to be willing and able to make that investment. That's where we were at. And it worked for us, but it took some time.
Love it. This is great stuff, Adam. And I'm going to speak for you a little bit, because now I know you, having done a previous interview, that if you're watching this and you haven't seen the first interview I did with Adam, make sure to go back. You should be subscribing to the playlist on the Kaseya YouTube channel for M&A Unpacked anyway, and watching all the episodes. But I'm going to speak for Adam a little bit to say, I know you're the kind of person, you're out there speaking. You love talking to MSPs, and obviously you want to bring them, possibly as an acquisition target, right? So if somebody's curious now listening to this, okay, where do I start? Am I ready for MME? I'm gonna bet you'd be happy to talk to them.
We are, and one of the things, both myself and my partner Brian, who's over the years, we spent a lot of time and at a lot of lunches, helping other MSPs to grow, but also learning from other MSPs. So we're happy to share. I'm happy to go out and share. It's whatever we can to help make good MSPs better. So always willing to talk to somebody, and share our expertise about this. As you know, about the M&A, about the process we went through. I talked a little bit, and I've received a lot of questions about how we went out and built employee ownership for key team members, which is something a lot of people have come to me about. So there's a lot of areas in the things we do, and in the 30 years we've been in the industry, that happy to share. And we made a lot of mistakes, and if we can stop somebody from doing those, that's great too.
Great, Adam. And how do people get in touch with you?
So my email is Eiseman, AEISEMAN @netcov, NETCOV.com. Eisman@netcov.com, or if you've got my old email, it still works, adam.eisman, EISEMAN @lloydgroup.com. Feel free to reach out at any point.
Great. And I'll put all those links in the show notes here, which you can get in the description on YouTube. And for everyone watching, we thank you, and tune in every Monday on the Kaseya YouTube channel for another episode of M&A Unpacked. And if you're not yet a member of the M&A Concierge platform for MSPs, make sure to apply today. It's an amazing platform and is 100% free for both buyers and sellers. See you next time, everyone. And thank you, Adam, for being here.